On behalf of the College of Business and the Michael Weinert lecture series on entrepreneurship, I want to welcome you to our lecture series today. We have a great set of audience up here. We have two local guys and another local guy who's chosen to live in Tennessee. We'll tell his story a little more. We also have some of his family members. These guys are 3 of 5 brothers in the family, so it's pretty exciting. Kevin, you're one of the brothers. Anybody else? Any other brother? Does anybody need a brother? I want to introduce the speakers today. We're up for a really great lecture series today, so thanks for coming out and attending. I want to introduce, first of all, this is Aaron, Clint, Brent Walters. Clint and Brent are twins, can't you tell? All right. Aaron Walters, my pleasure to welcome Aaron Walters. He's the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Altered State, a highly successful women's apparel company which began in Knoxville, Tennessee, and later expanded to over 100 stores nationwide. Aaron is a Lamar University alum with over 17 years experience managing retail businesses ranging from $100 million to $2 billion in revenue. Aaron took on top-level positions at department stores, including vice president at Goody's Family Clothing, president at Hybrid Apparel, and Aaron became a buyer at Walmart in Bentonville, Arkansas, successfully running a $2 billion men's apparel business. Very successful. In 2009, he chose to co-found Altered States with his brothers Brent and Clint over here. Altered State mission focuses on inspiring and empowering others and to give more than receive to glorify God. It's an important part of their mission. Due to their mission ideology, they have donated over $7.5 million to different communities through their Mission Monday program, as well as funding many impoverished schools in Peru. Please welcome Aaron Walters first. Brent Walters. Also co-founder of Altered State and founder of a number of successful businesses. Brent attained both a bachelor's and master's in business administration from Lamar University. In 2003, he purchased his own Allstate agency in Beaumont and later expanded across Texas. He currently serves 10,000 clients, making him the largest Allstate agent in the United States. I'm also a customer of his. In 2011, Brent and his brother Clint opened Walters Farm and Ranch. Brent is also very well known for being active and giving back to the community. Please welcome Brent Walters. Okay, it has over 16 years of experience in the banking field. Is now the Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Mobile Oil Credit Union here in Beaumont. He too is a Lamar graduate with bachelor's and master's in business administration. He successfully runs many businesses in various industries, ranging from dry cleaning to agriculture. Clint also co-founded Altered State with his brothers and is currently serving on the board of directors for Altered States. Like his brothers, Clint is very well known for giving back to the community, and please give a warm welcome to Clint Walters. Thank you very much. I want to bring up Aaron Walters. He's going to start off with an introduction and a video. Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good morning or afternoon? Afternoon, okay. So as Paul said, my name is Aaron Walters. I was born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, so actually right outside of Beaumont. I was born and raised, started my life out living in Bell Oaks, and then moved to Sour Lake, Texas, which you guys know is a huge metropolis. And worked my way up, obviously went to Hart-Jefferson High School, went off to college to play football, thought I wanted to be a doctor. And growing up, trying to understand what was going to be my path. So what I'm going to talk to you guys a lot today is about finding your path and finding your passion. How do you get from point A to point B? And the exciting thing about me and my brothers, and Paul's right, we've been very successful, but we've been successful just because of some simple things. It's really not that complex to be successful from the world's point of view. It's really not that complex. I'm going to say that again. It's really not that complex to be successful from the world's point of view. It's really not that hard. So anyway, went to Sam Houston State to play football. Thought I wanted to be a doctor. Ended up coming back home
and came to Lamar University, and believe it or not, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Swerdlow, whose wife is in here, changed my life. I was sitting in a marketing class. I'd taken biology, organic chemistry, all those things. If any of you have ever taken that before, it is, pardon me, I hope there's no professor in here that teaches that, but it is unbelievably boring. It is unbelievable. It was like watching paint dry. But I thought that's what I had to do. That's how I was going to, better myself. Took Dr. Swerdlow's class, and he had us do a project. I'll never forget it. I haven't thought about it in 18 years, which is kind of funny. It's been 18 years since I've been back to Lamar University. He had me do a project on Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And I just found it unbelievably fascinating to be able to study a business that made a difference in the community and built a great business. And not to mention they have outstanding ice cream. So I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible. I recognize that 99.99% of you are here to get credit. The good news is I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible. I do not enjoy doing public speaking. I'm here speaking today because of my assistant, Cindy Fritz, who's here with me today. Everybody please give a round of applause. Cindy makes me do this kind of stuff, but in all seriousness, you are who you surround yourself with, and Cindy Fritz, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for Cindy help, and I appreciate it, Cindy. So I've got a little bit of video here for you, and I'm probably going to cut it off midway through, and then I'll send it to whoever, and they can share it with you. But this is a video that I use every morning or on a consistent basis when I get knocked down and want to get back, and kind of not feeling good about myself, or things aren't going my way, or I faced a challenge. I use this video in the mornings to kind of get my mind right. So go ahead, Paul.
Number one, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. 40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, it was 40 years ago, just this past March, I was flunking out of college at a 1.7 grade point average. I hope none of you can relate. At a 1.7 grade point average, I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop. They still call it beauty shop? What they call it? Yeah, I was sitting in a beauty parlor. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see behind me this woman under the dryer. And every time she looked up, every time I looked up, she was looking at me. She was looking me in the eye. And I didn't know who she was, and I said, she said, somebody give me a pen. Give me a pen. So I have a prophecy. March 27, 1975. She said, boy, you are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Now, mind you, I was flunked out of college. I'm thinking about joining the Army. I didn't know what I was going to do, but she's telling me I'm going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, I have traveled the world. And I have spoken to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life, and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done. Stick with God. Number two, fail big. That's right. Fail big. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there. You only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test with you, 9 dots. And you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. the only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams. And they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals.
So that goes on for a couple more minutes, and again, I'll be happy to share that. But Denzel Washington, I have a lot of admiration on, but really respect the way he approaches life. And he really talks about three things in that speech. The first one is put God first, and I truly believe that. I really believe as a human being, you've got to put God first. No question about it. I stand here today. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if God hadn't opened doors for me. No question about it. The second thing is he talks about fail big. One of the biggest challenges and one of the major reasons why people are not successful in business or in life or in different things is they don't embrace failure. You have to embrace failure. I talk to my team, we have probably a couple of thousand associates around the country, 2,000 to 3,000 associates throughout the United States. And I talk to them all the time about embracing failure. It's so important. The most important thing you can do, the best thing that can ever happen to you in your life is failing. I'm going to say that again. The best thing that can ever happen to you in your life is failing. And the reason why I believe that is because it's the only way you learn. The only way we learn, the only way we grow as human beings, the only way we become better business people, the only way we become better mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, whatever it may be, the only way we get better is through failure. See, if I had to say what was probably the number one thing that me and my brothers have in common, we have different interests, we have some similar interests, we were raised by the same parents. Our parents taught us to, if you get knocked down, pardon my French, you get your ass up and you get up and do it again. And if you will take that approach in life or in business, for those of you that want to be entrepreneurs, be careful what you wish for. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be easy. Me and Brian, my partner, one of my partners, spoke to over 300 banks to get our first loan. You have to understand, when we started the company in 2009, we had the financial crisis, right? So imagine trying to go to a bank and say, hey, we want to start a retail company, even though retailers are filing bankruptcy every minute, every day. Every time you pull up the Wall Street Journal, a new store, everybody's closing stores, going out of business. This is the situation. Brian and I are going around bank to bank telling us, hey, can we get a loan to start a retail company? And literally bankers would take the portfolio and shut it and like almost laugh at us. It took us 300 meetings to get it done, 300 phone calls, 300. But just that ability to fail, there's no worse feeling when you go talk to a banker and you've got your dreams, in your future, you're wanting to build something great, you can see it in your mind, you're trying to sell it to someone, and then look at you and tell you no. If you're going to be an entrepreneur or you're going to be successful in life, I got news for you. You better get used to being told no, and you better get used to how are you going to overcome that. And Brent will talk a little bit about that today. But he talks about failing big. And what I believe is you have to embrace your failures. We have a company culture. There is no penalty to our associates if they make an honest mistake. Because I actually don't like the word. I don't like the word mistake. I don't like the word failure. I look at them as learners. So I've had associates that have literally cost us millions of dollars. They took a risk. It didn't work out the way they thought, and it cost us a couple $1 million. But they did their homework, they did the best job they could, and we learned something from it. And so the thing that I remind them, so they're not in trouble, we actually celebrate it. The thing I remind them is that, hey, yes, we lost $2 million today, but we learned a lot. And from this, we're going to be able to build something better. Because that's where our success comes from. We do, though, if it's a not honest mistake, if you're cutting corners, which I'm going to be honest with you, if you want to be an entrepreneur, there's no such thing as cutting corners. If you want to build a business, If you try to cut corners, the only person you're cutting is yourself. If you try to cut corners, the only person you're cutting is yourself. That's the truth. If you're not willing to do the work, Denzel Washington, one of the things he says is hard work works. I'm going to say that again. Hard work works. And I want to talk about what hard work looks like. The first 4.5 years of Altered State, I worked for free. I went from the guy sitting in the corner office, living in Laguna Beach, California, driving a BMW 7 Series, to the guy in the back room, tagging merchandise, checking out the customer, cleaning the bathrooms, whatever it took. I want to tell you what hard work looks like. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm depending on the study, I'm either the oldest millennial or the youngest Gen X. Well, I'm going to go with it. I'm the oldest millennial, so I can say this, okay? So I get a get out of jail free card. I get to say this. And by the way, I run a massive millennial company. Hard work works. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I got news for you. Hard work is not 40 hours a week. Hard work is 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. That's what hard work looks like. For 4.5 years, whatever it took, literally to the point where my mortgage would be due, because again, that was back in the financial crisis. I couldn't sell my house. I sold most of my stuff to start the company, but at that time, you couldn't move real estate. My mortgage would be due on February 7th. I'll never forget this. My mortgage is due, and I literally, on the 6th, don't know how I'm going to pay it. That's what building a company looks like. But the gratification and the reward and the fun that goes along with that is unbelievable. So he talks about, fail big. And then the third thing he talks about is you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'm going to say that one more time. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Here's the truth. It doesn't matter how much money you got. I'm going to tell you right now, richest person in this room, poorest person in this room, they're going to bury us the same. There's not going to be a difference. Why would I talk to you about that? When I have kids come up and ask me, Aaron, how'd you do it? How have you guys built this? Blah, blah, blah. Their whole thing, a lot of them, is they want to make money. That's what they want to do. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and your whole goal is just to make money, I actually feel sorry for you. Because remember, this is something you're going to commit to 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. So you better love it. See, I was lucky enough. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. That's the truth. When I was your age, I really didn't know. I didn't know what my path was. But what I did was I got a job at Walgreens on College Street. You guys know the Walgreens on College Street? That's where I started my career. And I started out with a big-time job, guys. I was the stockroom manager. Made, I don't know, $9.50 an hour, I think. That's where I started my career. And I came to this school and I took full-time school and worked a full-time job. That's what I did. That's how I started my career. The best thing ever happened to me, though, is that I got that job because I fell in love with retail. Remember, I shared with you I'm an ex-college athlete. So I loved retail because every day I get this report every morning. Actually, in our company, we get a report every hour how our sales are doing, this year to last year. Yes, Cindy, every hour. And it's on the 12th minute of every hour. So every 12 minutes, or on the 13 minutes of every hour of the day, you will see me pick up my phone. It's not because I want to text somebody, it's because I want to know how our sales are. I'm going to be honest with you, when I sit down, there's a good chance that I'm going to ignore everything my brothers say and check in my sales. Just to be honest. I actually had to grow up with them. The last thing I want to do is sit here and listen to them. But I found it. And you have to understand, I found it. And I hope you find it. Because once I found it, then I knew where I needed to go. I wanted to be a chairman and CEO. Again, be careful what you wish for. That's a whole other story. That's another lecture that we can talk about another day. But I found it. I found my passion. And so for me, working 7 days a week, 20 hours a day for those 4.5 years, it wasn't work. It was work, don't misunderstand me, and I complained and was grumpy about it and all this, but I loved it. And so my advice to you is if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you start a business, start something you love. And I've also already gotten this question, well, Aaron, what if I love to take naps? I'm like, well, you know, if you can monetize taking naps, then by all means do it. You know, some guy did create things. You guys remember the pet rock? Probably old. Probably not for y'all. Okay, some of the professors remember the pet rock. Well, the pet rock, the guy sold people rocks, basically. So, you know, listen, if that person would have came to me and said that was my idea, their idea for that business, I would have laughed at them and told them you've lost your mind. Well, obviously, he's a millionaire now, so, and he obviously loves rocks. Maybe he's a geology major or something, and he's been successful. Take that for what it's worth. But very long-winded. I give you three points of view, and I'm going to turn it over to Brent. He's going to talk about persistence and perseverance and the things that you've come over. Number one, put God first. And build a company that you can be proud of. Build a company that when your last name's attached to it, that it's something your mom and dad can be proud of. I'm proud of my company. We built 19 schools in third world countries. I can't even believe that, 19 schools. We educate over 28,000 children. Can't even believe it. We feed 1 million families a year. Small town kid from Sour Lake, Texas, went to college, sat in this same room you're sitting here right here. Class, he doesn't remember me very well. The reason why is because I wasn't that good of a student. Because I didn't know where I was going yet. It hadn't clicked, and that's okay. But put God first. Build something you can be proud of. Second thing is embrace failure. And fail big, guys. Take risk. You got to take risk. My niece and nephew, I helped pay for their college. And I was talking to them, I was like, I'm pushing them to take risk and explaining to them, man, you can always go back. But I don't want you to ever be that person that lays in bed when you're 75 years old and say, or 90 years old and say, man, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have tried. So fail big. And then the third thing is you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. So what am I saying about that? Don't make decisions because of money. Don't misunderstand me. You need money. And you need to be able to provide for your family. But if you actually look at studies, did you guys know every dollar over $75,000 household income, the happiness meter of that individual goes, do you think it goes up or down? Yep. You hit it. You hit it. Because there's a lot of wealthy entrepreneurs that just started the business and they just wanted to make money. And so they're miserable. And I don't want that for you. Brent, if you'll talk to the team just a little bit about the persistence and things you've had to overcome. Thank you, guys. Brent Walton.
It's kind of hard to follow that, but so I don't know if anybody, so I started out in 1999 at Lamar. Started working for Michael Dennis. He's my general manager. And in 2003, I bought Michael's first office. And I'm going to kind of walk through it real fast because we don't have a lot of time. But what my ultimate goal is to kind of get you. Aaron's talking about path, and you got to. How do you get your path? I didn't want to do insurance. No one likes insurance. It's an intangible asset. It's a very difficult process. It's so it's not something that you go to school. I didn't go to Dr. Mayer's class. I didn't go get my accounting degree, finance degree, and a master's degree to go sell insurance. It wasn't something that I chose to do. I fell into it, and I found a passion for it. And I found out that this is a business. It's a need business, and it's a business that if you get into an entrepreneur, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to try to get into a business that people need. They need it. If they want it, you don't have that. It's something that could go out of business. So I would say, out of all my career path, I would say that what I would have done differently, or what I would do, I guess, I would try to figure out the path that I want. But how do you figure that out? How many of y'all here have a job in college right now? So I did what you're doing right now. I sat in this class. I was working for Michael. I was telemarketing. I actually got fired by the first guy that I worked for. He was a telemarketer. He told me, this is not for you. This business is not for you. And I went and worked for Michael. And I started selling insurance. You know, I didn't have a license. And I just kind of, the whole time thought of it as a job. And the more I learned, and the more I learned from the professors, I was like, well, I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be an accountant. I wanted to be, you know, at first I wanted to be an engineer, and then I changed it, and I got into business school, and I decided that I really liked the kind of the accounting finance side of it. So I wanted to go work for a big corporation. And during that process, whenever I bought Michael out in 2003, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about payroll. I was a good employee. I know nothing about business. I knew how not to run a business. I didn't know anything about it. And I would say that it just kind of all happened. You know, Hurricane Rita happened in 2005 here. I'm sure you all remember it. And whenever Hurricane Rita happened in my business, all the industry, everybody ended up just scattering. So I would say the biggest thing that I would like to give you today is don't be fearful to fail, right? The fear of fail is more damaging than fear itself. So I didn't have any clue what I was doing, and I just went and purchased and tried to acquire as many insurance companies as I could. And that my goal was now every other agent in town was getting out of the business. I was getting in it because I wasn't fearful of it. So I would say that trying to, you know, the fear of failure, like Aaron was talking about, is something that can really hinder you and really keep you from doing the things you want to do. And honestly, I don't know, how many people want to be an entrepreneur? I mean, how many people, that's one thing that you have to think about. Like, being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. Being a second, third, fourth person, everybody needs that person. So to do that, you have to, I mean, there's a lot of work involved in all of it. But I think I would go back to, I believe that what puts me, Clinton, Aaron, really all our brothers together. You know, my parents, they were amazing parents. They taught us to work together. We all have like a different bond. You know, we all have a different thing. Aaron brings something to the table better than Clint, and maybe it's a different category. Maybe I bring something to the table and we feed off each other. Now, not everybody has 5 brothers that can feed off of, but you need to surround yourself around people that you can do that with. And I believe that just the cold hard persistency of what we did and what we're doing every day. Every day we're talking about what we can do. I get told no every day. Every transaction that something happens, no matter what business deal, Aaron got told no 300 times. My objective, you know, you can ask Michael, the way I run my business and the way I run my life is no is not an option. No is not an answer. No is an excuse, and it's being lazy. You can always find a yes. It may not be exactly the yes you wanted, but no is what you do not accept that. Especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur. Honestly, you shouldn't accept no at all. Not, you know, there's some things you're just not going to get in life, but you shouldn't just let people run you over. You should always try to, always try to get to the yes that you're trying to get to. I would probably say, I think that in general, what kind of brings us together as entrepreneurs is our spirit of, we all end up combining, we collaborate, we talk a lot about what's our goals, what's our objectives. How many of y'all, you know, you got to set daily goals. Don't set yearly goals. You know, all right, I need to make an A in this class. I want to get my master's degree, but I'm going to go to school and then I can go get my master's degree later. Well, set that goal. Can you do it in 5 years, maybe? You know, in the job that you're doing right now, what job is that? Are you doing a job that you might be passionate about? Is it something that you're trying to build your career for? If it's not, that's not a big deal. You get in a job, and that's good that you have a job. And everybody should have a job, because that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to build a career. Try to get into the industry that you're going to be into. And you may not know, but try to get into the career path, because you're giving yourself kind of a little bit of a practice run, right? So I always wanted to be, whenever I got into finance, I wanted to be like a Wall Street trader. Well, so I've tried to apply at Merrill Lynch. I try to get, well, they don't do internships. It's really hard to get those kind of internships. So I started working for an insurance company. Well, guess what I do? I own an insurance company. So try to get into so if you want to get into business-related stuff, get a business-related job. You know, don't go into a scenario where you're doing retail if you don't want to do retail, if you feel like that's not what you want to do.
tell them a little bit about, because one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur is how do you get started, right? And so Brent, how old were you when you started, when you bought the business from Michael?
So I was probably 22.
22 years old, okay. How many?
Tell them about the laundromat.
How old were y'all when y'all bought the laundry? I was 25 probably, so that's a good point. I mean, basically, the way I started, I didn't take no for an answer. Michael, he told me, and no offense to Michael, he's an amazing guy. He told me, he said, Brent, come work for me for 4, I had a job, I had an offer from PricewaterhouseCoopers in Canaternal, Wobble here local. I was gonna get paid $45 grand a year in Houston, 35 in Beaumont. Went to Michael at IHOP, told him what I wanted to do. He said, well, I'll sell it to you in 4 years, I'll pay you 30 grand a year, so he'll cheat me about 5 grand. And I said, I don't know, and then out of the blue, he came to me and said, you know what, let's just do it right now. And I didn't have any money, I didn't have anything. So you know what I did? I went and used the resources around me, which was who? What was I in? I was in college. Why wouldn't you go to your professors and use those resources? Brad Mayer is the one that helped me. Him and Dr. Lynch helped me literally construct how I was going to buy Michael. He was all kinds of trying to make sure I didn't get messed over by Michael.
You didn't know Michael.
He didn't tell me that.
He had half of Lamar University.
They taught me what a non-recourse loan was. Michael believed in me so much, he literally gave me a business with no recourse if I failed. That's amazing. Well, guess what? I wouldn't even have known what that term was had I not asked my professor. So I learned about what an LLC was, what an S corp was. I learned what to do. So that was really neat.
So to think about that, for those of you, like, remember I told you I tried to go out and get conventional loans. What we did, actually how we founded our company, so we put up a bunch of money for us at the time. I mean, literally everything we had, but we went the SBA route, the small business loan, SBA route. The reason why I wanted Brent to call that out is Brent did what's called owner financing. So for those of you that someday are interested in buying a business, one of the things you can do is you can propose to the owner, listen, and the owner's got to believe in you. But one of the things that I like about owner financing is also the owner's got a little skin in the game. Because when you buy a business, they tell you one thing, but you don't know about all the things that maybe aren't working perfectly in a business. Brent was smart enough and went out and asked people that were very intelligent and have done this before, hey, how do I do this? Well, that's where they came up with owner financing. You guys follow where I'm going? And owner financing, all that means is if Brent's buying a business from me, that I say, okay, he can pay me off over an amount of time. But I've got skin in the game. I need Brent to be successful, right? So we're still it's a little bit of a team thing. But that's an example. He's 22 years old. How many of you are within 2 years of being 22 years old? Raise your hand. How many of you can see owning a business 2 years from now? Good. I'm just telling you, you can do it. You can do it. That's the point we're making. And then Brent's comment about the job. If you don't see number one, don't just look at it as just a job. You're at that time now where it can be a career. So start looking out front. But number two, if you're like, I'm never going to be passionate about this, then you should do it. And Clint, why don't you talk to the team a little bit about your career and the business that you and Brent own, but the same thing, how you got a job in banking and where that's led you. Okay?
Okay, so I know we're short on time. I'm Clint. I'm the better looking brother. I've actually lost a lot of weight.
Just for this
event. So my career path is a little bit different. I started out in banking. I was a teller at Walmart, at the old community bank. So actually, before that, I worked at Pier 1 and stock at 12 o'clock at night. So I start my career, I meet Dr. Mayer, I see Mr. Dyson up there. You're in a good university. You have a lot of good tools, a lot of assets here in this university, and you'd be proud of it to be a part of Lamar University. You really do. I'm telling you, because there's no way that these three idiots knew what we're doing. But we needed Lamar, and Lamar helped us. So I started out part-time teller at community bank. And Brent came to me with this idea of, hey, so he had just bought Michael's business, and he said, hey, there's this Maytag laundromat, that, it's right there by Austin Middle School. So there's a Maytag laundromat, and it's up for sale. And I said, Brent, I don't know anything about laundromats. He's like, oh, I think I got it all worked out. I think Miss Jessie, she's going to sell it to us. And I said, where are we going to get money? And he's like, no, I got it worked out. So this lady is retarded and owner finance. This laundromat, 22.
I took the owner finance term to a new level. Every time I call, I make them whole paper. I call it whole paper. You're investing in me, and I'm investing in you. It's a transaction of people, and if you don't believe in each other, then you shouldn't. You shouldn't do the transaction. So that's why I believe in owner finance.
So, here Brent is running an insurance agency. I'm a bank teller going to Lamar, and then we're counting quarters at night time with the laundromat. And it worked out perfectly. We ended up selling the laundromat. We bought the dry cleaners. We sold that. Then we ended up buying another dry cleaner. Everything worked out great. Aaron talked about hard work. Brent talked about persistency. So I want to talk to you about emotional intelligence. Everybody knows what IQ is, right? Mm-hmm. It means you're smart. Who cares? Who knows what EI is, emotional intelligence? Anybody heard that term? You have? You have? It's the key to running a business because, see, business is being a people person. You can't be a bad individual and run a business. It just won't work because you have to have people work for you, right? And you have to care about it. So if there's one thing that I want to tell you guys is that emotional intelligence, I challenge you to Google it, I challenge you to research it because that's what will make you successful in my opinion. Again, Aaron talked about hard work, Brent talked about persistency, but I'm telling you we're in the people business. I don't care if you're doing retail, I don't care if you're washing clothes, I don't care if you're a banker, okay? I can't do my job if I don't have my people. If my people don't trust me, they're not going to work for me. If they're not loyal to me, they're not going to work for me. So sometimes you have to make tough decisions. This morning was a horrible meeting this morning, okay? But you have to do that, and we are in the people business. So you say you want to own a company, that's great. Doesn't matter. You can own whatever. But if you don't treat your people right, you might as well hang it up. I'm telling you, you're going to fail every single time if you don't treat your people right. And you know what? It's okay that some of your best people make more money than you do because in the long term, you heard Aaron say he didn't draw a salary for 4 years. The guy didn't draw a salary. Okay? I want you to think about that. Now, he's the CEO of the company, didn't draw a salary, but he knew he had to pay the people to get the talent and treat them right. And that's what he did. That's what Brent does with his people. So, if I can just leave you with one thing, emotional intelligence. Google it, know it, learn it, and if you don't have it, I don't think you'll be successful.
So, we've got about, it looks like 10 minutes, is that right?
And if you need to leave in 10 minutes, you can do that at your class. If you want to stay a little longer, you're welcome to do so.
So,
yeah, for 10, 15 minutes.
okay, so we got time to take questions, but I just want to wrap up one thing before we take the questions. So again, what did we talk to you about here today? We talked about have a path for your life. We talked about get ready for hard work, get ready for overcoming things. But hopefully the thing that you picked up on, all three of us, how many of us started out at glamorous jobs? He was a teller, I was a stockroom manager, and he was the lowest person, got fired. He was a telemarketer at the insurance. Loser.
Actually, I got it.
He just wants to get that in. So the point is, guys, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. You didn't hear anything we said today, okay? It's not where you start, it's where you finish. It don't matter where you're born, where you went to school, all that stuff. Let me tell you something. You can do anything, absolutely anything you put your mind to. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying it's equal for everybody. We all start in different places. You know, to be totally truthful with you, my family wasn't the wealthy family in the community. We weren't. That's just being the truth. You know what? We weren't wealthy, and that's why I said from outside people's success, what their measure of success. That's why I talked to you about don't making decisions just about how much money you make. We were a hell of a lot more wealthy than all the other families around us, though, because of the way our family operates. So the point I'm making to you, it's not where you start, guys. It's where you finish. Don't sell yourself short. Hey, just because you're from Beaumont, Texas, or whatever, you can do anything you want. I've worked at the largest companies in the world. I worked for Walmart, #1 largest company in the world at the time. It's the first 25-year-old vice president the company's ever had in its history. Don't tell me it can't be done. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. Anything you want to do, you can do it. But you better get ready for failure, and you better get ready for work, and you better get ready to get knocked down and get back up again over and over and over again. But if you'll keep on that path, guys, you'll get there. You know, if I only take this big a step up of a mountain, and I only make up that far a day, but I don't quit, eventually I still get to the mountain. You know what they call in medical school the person that graduates #1 from medical school? What title they give them? Doctor. Do you know what they say to the person that graduated last in medical school? What title they give them? Doctor. Okay, that's my point. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they still call you doctor. You follow me? All right, any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Abe. What you all said was really amazing. It's really beneficial for us. But I have a question for you. You said you had to meet like, I think like 300 times to take a loan. So do you advise us as a student before we start our own business to take any loans?
Do I advise you to take loans?
Yes.
In a perfect world, look, if you've got, so you've asked me, do I like debt, basically. The truth is, and I know there's no finance professors in here, I hate debt. I'm a nervous Nelly, okay? I don't sleep well, I worry all the time. I mean, I'm like a big baby when it comes to that. I love not owing people money, okay? But there is a thing called leverage, and you can use leverage to grow your business. And there is times where a business does need to put leverage on it to grow your business. To answer your question, very long-winded. If you believe, look, it's all a bet on you. That's why I'm saying don't cut corners, because you're only cutting yourself. So here's the truth. If you believe in yourself, and you believe you can pay them back, do I think you should take that? The answer is not yes, but hell yes, I would. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in yourself and your idea, yes, I would take the risk. I mean, that's the honest to God truth. That is a personal decision you have to make, but I would make a decision based on whether I believed in what I was doing and how much risk that I really feel comfortable taking. So, any other? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Shayna.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm also an insurance agent, so something that I've seen is that, people are becoming more, technologically savvy. And there's a lot of services that are now, the internet, they just easily figure out the internet, getting quotes. So you have been able to grow your insurance company to be very successful in this area. How has your company been battling, internet pricing versus, brick and mortar?
I can talk to you for about 4 hours. I was actually, I just flew in from Chicago. I met with Tom Wilson, the CEO of a Fortune 100 company with Allstate. We talked exactly about what you just said. And the quick answer, because we don't have a lot of time, is we adapt. We adapt. Allstate's, Allstate in general is moving towards telematics. Telematics is a way of pricing. It's sophisticated pricing. I could bore you all for about hours and hours. So I guess the answer is, yeah, you know what I've done? I'm kind of the law of large number concept. I just kept buying, and I bought, and I grew the scale. I kept growing the scale. I kept growing the scale. I kept leveraging. I leveraged every book I got. I kept leveraging to where that doesn't affect me. If I was a new agent starting from scratch right now, the way I would adapt, I would go buy internet leads. I would go buy the things that people, I would do direct mail, and I would do internet leads. So you're right, dude. When you go online and you go and shop, you go look for a quote, it goes to a company The company sells those leads to 50 other companies, and it's the first person that gets it. So you have to build, so you adapt to the market. You know what I mean? So it's a very relevant question because it's something I've been worried about for years, but just adapt to it.
But remember, because of that change in technology creates opportunity, right? So again, as entrepreneurs, that's how we think. When other people see an issue, well then that means if there's an issue, there's got to be a solution, right? And if it's a business you enjoy and you can be the one that comes up with a solution, you have a business. Does that make sense? So remember, anytime you think about that, anytime you see something like you pointed out, and that's happening in banking, Bob, that's happening in every industry, right? So every industry, we're all looking on, but when you see that, flip it on the other side, okay, and say, how do I provide something here? Next question.
I have something I want to add. We just had Harvey. We're the whole world is having Harveys. And what is that internet going to do for you? When your home is demolished, you have an agent that helps you, that can say, oh no, you didn't fill out this split thing, so, you've got to do it this way so you can get your full pay, get your insurance. What's that internet thing going to do for you? The person, you have to have a person.
You have to adapt. We talked about, we adapt, and one of the big things we talked about was self-service. All of us, I'm a millennial, we want self-service. I don't want to have to call my office to change the address or change my credit card. How many of y'all use a banking app right now on your phone? Guess what? 60% of bank customers use their app. In insurance, 15%. There's a gap there. So insurance companies are going to start being self-service. So that doesn't mean that position goes away. It means our position changes. We'll be moving into digital. We will be now moving into a digital product. Or we will be how are you worried about identity theft?
You should be.
That's the new insurance. I can preach for hours about this. I can preach for hours. So I mean, that's what they do. So you'll see all these new insurance products come out with digital presence, digital insurance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I like what you said, I'm big on my faith. So my biggest thing is when I do my devotions, I ask God and say, so is this like where I really want, like is this what I really want to do? So I talk to him about that, like, cause love and money is what all evil, but I also would like to get compensated for if I do what I do so I can do God. So my question is, how do you know what's it for you? Because I'm passionate about a lot of stuff. So like, how do you know what's your niche, like exactly?
That's a very challenging question. The answer, again, that's a secret of life, so if you want me to solve life, I got a minute, I can pull this off. What was your name?
Josh.
Josh, I'm there. Nice to meet you, Josh. So to answer your question honestly, Josh, first thing you have to understand is we all, even you guys, even though I own the company, okay, the truth is, we're not publicly traded. I'm the chairman of the board. I mean, just being totally transparent with you, I can do pretty much anything I want to do. As long as it's legal, so that I can get done. Okay? But did you know that I still have days that I get out of bed and I'm like, man, I really don't feel like doing this today. You would think that would never happen. If you own the business, you're the chairman and CEO, like that would happen. I guess the way I would answer your question, so I'm going somewhere with this. How do you know that this is my it? It's like a marriage. Okay? If you're married and you focus on the 5% of the things that your spouse does wrong, that drives you crazy, I got news for you, that's not going to be a very good marriage. If you're married though, and you focus on the 95% of what you love about your spouse, and you can tolerate the 5%, and in my wife's situation, for me, if she can tolerate the 25%, I got about 75%. And I can tolerate the 5%, but not get overwhelmed by it and not make that the focus, then it's probably something I can do for the rest of my life. Here's the other comment I'll make to you. If it's picking a career and a thing and it ain't 95-5, then you're probably in the wrong thing. In other words, if what you love about this is only 70% or 60%, well, that's probably not going to get you a quality of life that you want. You're not going to be a happy person. Because the truth is, business is hard, life's hard. You need marriages are hard. You need 90 to 95% of what that you know, there better be 90 to 95% of what you love about it. There better be 90 to 95% of what you love about him. There better be 90 to 95% of what that you love in this. And I do see a lot of young entrepreneurs, I'm glad you asked this question, get distracted. You really got to sit down and look at it. But if you can weigh that out and say, you know what, I'm going to enjoy this 90% of the time, I'm going to put that into perspective for you. If you work 50 years, if you're 22 years old today, and the way that we're living now, the truth is Social Security will probably kick in for our generation, thanks to the baby boomers. Social Security will probably kick in our generation about 140. Okay, so you've only got about 124 years of work. So you're right there. So the point I'm making is, if 90%, let's say it seriously, I think we'll probably all retire in our 70s, probably like 72. Okay, if 90% of that means you're going to work 50 years. Well, 90% of 50 years means you're going to have 45 good years. Now, if I looked you in the face and said, Josh, 45 out of the 50 years you're doing this, you're going to enjoy it and love it, that's a win. But you got to acknowledge that there is going to be 5. And I'm not saying those are consecutive, but there is going to be 5 challenges. Next question? Okay.
Those guys are here to talk later on, but Dr. Finch, would you like to?
Oh, sorry.
These guys.
Yes, thank you. I'm Dan French, Dean of the college, and on behalf of the college, I really want to thank the Walters for being here today, and we'd like to present you with a very small memento of your visit. I'm going to have to juggle 3 of them here. First one I've got in my hand is